It should have been one of the safest moments of the week. Families gathered for Friday prayers at a mosque in northern Nigeria, sitting together in worship, surrounded by their neighbours and loved ones. Instead, armed men arrived, surrounded the mosque and took people away. Now a chilling video has emerged, appearing to show hundreds of those captives sitting on the ground in a forest, surrounded by armed men. Residents say around 600 women, children and older people may have been abducted, although that number has not been independently confirmed. What is beyond doubt is the fear gripping the communities left behind. Families are watching the video again and again, searching for the faces of a mother, a father, a child, an elderly relative. Some say they have already recognised people they love. And somewhere in that forest are mothers holding babies, children crying for their parents, and elderly people who may not even understand where they've been taken. The attack happened in Dekara village in Niger State during Friday prayers amid simultaneous raids on several nearby communities. Police confirm an attack on worshippers but were unable to establish the number abducted. Early reports from residents put the number much lower at between 60 and 80 people, showing just how difficult it is to establish the scale of what happened in remote communities where fear, confusion and poor communications make accurate information almost impossible. But the numbers only tell part of the story. Imagine a family waking up in the morning after the attack, finding a place at the table empty, a mother waiting for a son who does not come home, a child asking where their father is, an elderly parent wondering whether the person who went to the mosque will ever walk back through the door. Kidnapping for ransom has become a devastating business across parts of Nigeria. Armed gangs raid villages, attack schools, stop people on highways, and seize entire groups of people, knowing that desperate families may be willing to sell everything they own to bring someone home. The violence has been particularly severe in the northwestern and north central parts of Nigeria, but armed groups have increasingly expanded their reach, and that creates a terrible reality for ordinary Nigerians. Places that should offer safety, a school, a road, a village, a place of worship, can become places of fear. People cannot simply stop going to work or school. They cannot abandon their homes, and they cannot live every moment believing armed men could arrive at any time. The video makes that fear visible. Children can be heard crying. The captives sit together, surrounded by guns and men who control their fate. One armed man speaks directly to the families, telling them to look carefully and identify their relatives. For those families, that moment must be unbearable. They are being shown people they love, but they still do not know when they will see them again.
What makes this even more frightening is that mass kidnapping in Nigeria is no longer an isolated phenomenon. It has become an industry. Criminal gangs can demand enormous ransoms, and the threat of abduction has changed how people live. Parents worry about sending children to school. Farmers fear travelling to their fields. Communities can become effectively trapped, afraid to move beyond the safety of their homes. And this is not only about money. The sheer scale of some attacks suggests that armed groups are becoming increasingly confident in their ability to overwhelm local communities and operate beyond the immediate reach of the security forces. In the Niger State attacks, the military was deployed and searches for survivors began, but residents were still waiting for answers about their missing relatives. There is another painful reality. Nigeria has experienced mass kidnappings before, including the abduction of school children, but each new incident brings back the trauma of families who have spent weeks or months waiting for their children to come home. Just days before this latest incident, families of children abducted from schools in Borno State were publicly protesting after almost 100 days without their loved ones. So this is not simply another security story. It is about what happens when fear becomes part of everyday life. When parents cannot be certain their children will return from school. When worshippers cannot be certain they will return from prayer. When a family gathering can become a hostage situation. And when hundreds of people can disappear into a forest, leaving an entire community waiting for a phone call that may never come.
The search now is not simply for the missing, it is for answers. How many people are actually being held? Who is holding them? Where are they? And most importantly, can they be brought home safely? For the families, every passing hour must feel unbearable. Every knock at the door could bring hope or another disappointment. Nigeria has faced this nightmare for years, but the scale and audacity of these kidnappings shows just how far the crisis is from being over. Looking ahead, the real test will be whether the authorities can restore something communities are rapidly losing, not just security, but the simple freedom to pray, work, travel, and raise a child without living in fear that someone might come and take them away.